All right, well, let's get this thing started. Everybody, welcome to MAEKAN Session 3. This is Beyond Hip Hop. We're discussing Atlanta's buzzing creative scene. I'm Gavin. I'm a content creator at Havas Worldwide. But more than that, I'm just a creative based here in Atlanta.
I'm Mikey, photographer, content creator out of Atlanta. And today we're kicking Eugene out of this country.
Out of here.
We'll be serving as your host.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking to a few people in Atlanta who are boots on the ground. They're really making things happen and like influencing the creative scene. And yeah, basically we're going to talk about sort of like the creative renaissance that's going on here in Atlanta. I feel like, being a creative here for a little while, that there's definitely like sort of a creative renaissance going on right now. So we're going to talk to a few of the people really making it happen. And really quick, before we dive into things, if you guys have a question for anybody in general, there's a black button at the top labeled questions and answers, and you can click that. It'll launch a Q&A window, and then you can ask questions. And we'll try to address those as we see them come up and fit those into the conversation as well. So let's get down to it. Today's panelists include Amanda Sabreah, Childish Major, Diwang Valdez, and Trévon Williams. What's up, y'all?
Hey.
Cool. So let's really quick just run through, and you guys can just introduce yourselves. Let's just say how long y'all have been in Atlanta, and what you do on the day-to-day.
Sweet, I'll go first. My name is Amanda Sabreah. I've been in Atlanta for about 10 years, and I am the founder of a creative startup here in Atlanta called Partner, P-A-R-T-N-R. And I also lead multicultural millennial strategy for a whole lot of brands under Coca-Cola.
I'm Childish Major. I'm an artist, writer, producer. I've been in Atlanta for about like 6 years. Moved from South Carolina. That's pretty much it.
Cool.
My name is Diwang Valdez. I've been in Atlanta for 15 years. Just with the math. And I'm a photographer, and I direct music videos with Motion Family. 1/3 of the Motion Family directing to.
Hey, y'all. I'm Trévon Williams. I've been in Atlanta for 13 years, actually. I own an agency called Von Allen, doing brand communications, event production, and content production. That's pretty much it. I manage an artist, Bosco.
Bosco. Cool. Well, so let's kick things off here. We want to throw up a poll really quick. Basically, we want to sort of get everybody who's watching, we want to get y'all's opinions on what do you think, when you think of Atlanta, sort of what do you think about? We know a lot of you guys probably aren't from Atlanta, so we want to know from y'all, what is Atlanta best known for? And then while that's going on, our panelists, the question I have for you guys is, what, in your opinion, sets Atlanta apart from other creative scenes, whether it be LA, New York, Miami, Chicago? So what sets Atlanta apart? And let's start with Trévon.
What sets Atlanta apart, I would say, necessarily a good thing. I think the amount of exposure the scene actually gets. A lot of like major press and people pay attention to those bigger markets. I don't know why, but it's been like that for so long. But I feel like what sets us apart is we don't get a lot of attention. As far as like physical things, I would say I think it's like a lot of newness here. Like, and the people, I feel like they're more willing to accept new talent, and like this, the support for the emergent people is a lot more bigger than the other cities. Like, the community supports the community. It's more communal, I feel like, compared to like a New York or LA or Miami. I feel like a real communal feel compared to those other cities.
I agree. I think it's for me, and then knowing for other people too that are outsiders that came to the city, it's a good place to, let the word spread about you, by word of mouth, I guess. It's not something that's hyped up or anything like that. It's like you go and you meet somebody and that person knows somebody else, and then they know somebody else that knows somebody that can put you in position to do something amazing. So it's like, if you come and you're talented and you hone in on that craft, then you can make it,
Yeah, I would agree. I think for me, it's definitely the people. I always say like New York is about, urgency and hustle. It's like a hustle city. LA is about like ambiance and aesthetic. Like, how do I feel after, I've gone somewhere? But Atlanta, it's really about the people. It's like when you support an artist here, it's like you really love them. You love them outside of their art. You want to see them grow. And you love them to a point of where you're not just yesing them, right? It's like, I really feel like I can pull you aside and give you a critique or feedback. And so it's got that real authentic person-to-person relationship feel that I think is growing, it's buzzing, and it's making the city grow.
That's a lot of
Yeah, for sure. Everybody in Atlanta is like really welcoming to other creatives too. It's like, I really like how everybody just like really supports everybody. Like we'll see everybody throughout the week, the same people over and over, but everybody's really supportive.
Dope. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I feel like it's it's a lot of that community, that togetherness, the people. For sure. I think that's some of that, like, it's something about being in the South, though, too, I feel like.
Southern hospitality.
Yep. Exactly. Cool. So like I kind of said, like at the beginning of the chat, I feel like Atlanta's sort of experiencing a sort of like creative renaissance, definitely doing a lot of video projects and interviewing a lot of people around the city. That's what a lot of people say is like, Atlanta's sort of going through something right now. So I just want to turn that back around to the panelists. What do you guys think? Do you guys think Atlanta's really like experiencing a renaissance right now, creatively?
Yeah, definitely. Because before, well, for me, coming from the music, I feel like it was a lot more focused on a certain type of artist coming out of Atlanta. I mean, we're a hip hop place, but I mean, there's a lot of, different, I don't know, people are doing what they want now and they're accepting it. And those other types of artists are getting as much shine as your favorite trapper or, and I think that's important, for us to have, come from, the Outcasts and Dungeon Family and all that. And then it just go immediately to trap. And then, nothing else outside of that is accepted. And it just feels good for that to be, noticed, I guess, on the outside looking in.
I think what I'm starting to notice is like people believe that they can actually do big things in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. I know when I first got here, it was like everybody was like, I'm about to head out to New York or I'm about to go to LA and I think now it's everybody kind of has this attitude of like, no, Atlanta's the next big thing. And, I think the people here are believing that and they're believing in themselves a lot more and they're believing in each other. And so I think, we're just starting to see different types of artists come out the woodworks. And that's across the board. It's not just music, right? It's the fine artists that are coming up, classical painters, street artists, tech, people in tech. It's just across the board. Everybody's like, let's make this scene shake.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely agree. I think it feels good to see everyone trying to have a bigger Atlanta presence in other cities. For me, it's been a thing when we go to other cities and kind of represent what Atlanta is about, what we're doing, and kind of rewriting the narrative of what's really going on. Because I can't tell you how many times I go into an office and the first thing they ask me is about the housewives or some other shit. So it feels good to kind of go in there and reset the tone of what Atlanta really is about as far as the art stuff. Like you said, from film to writers to music to tech. Like we have so many shining stars and people that don't get the attention they deserve. And it's really up to us to go out there and give them that attention. But nobody's going to wait for us.
I agree.
Nice. Really quick, based off of what you just said, Trévon, Elijah Watkins, what's up, Elijah? He asks, what do you think, Atlanta, like, do you think that there's a lack of media outlets or presences telling our story?
Absolutely, yes. It's definitely a lack of media outlets here. And I feel like the ones that reach out to people here reach out to the wrong people, or not the most credible sources, or they make up their own shit, which makes no sense to me. I have seen a bunch of people like try to make media publications here, but it's just more so a consistency thing. I always tell people it can work, just be consistent with their stuff, and I'm sure the rest of the world pick it up too. But it would be cool to have a bigger voice here, like to speak from Atlanta. We don't really have that. The only publications that people really know about in the city that's from the city is AJC and Creative Loafing. And hopefully that'll change within the next 2 years.
Yeah, true.
And I think, you know, even from the city itself, right? Like in other cities, New York, the actual like local government, they really boost up their creative scene, right? And so I come from the tech world. So anytime I'm reading an article about next top 5 tech cities, like Atlanta's never there. But I'm like, you guys have some of the most creative people in the world right here doing really dope shit. So I think that the city has to recognize us. And I think they are. I think they're starting to wake up and do it. But it would be really nice to have a bigger voice that starts shining a light beyond just the trappers, the housewives, and getting into the real scene of Atlanta.
That's dope. So another good question we have, Nate Schuler. What's up, Nate? He asked, do you guys feel like Atlanta has only been stained with the music scene to the point where any other form of creative expression is not taken seriously? So, Amanda, you were kind of talking about tech a little bit. Do you think people are so like when they think of Atlanta, they just think trap, or they just think, you know, maybe just music in general, or housewives, and they're not thinking like, oh, what about tech? What about art, like fine art, stuff like that?
Yeah, I definitely think that Atlanta has music very intimately attached to it. You know, for me, I think Amir said Atlanta Tech Village. Like, yeah, you know, I've spoken at Atlanta Tech Village. I've done panels over there. And it's funny. It's like, and I'm going to say this, and it could be controversial, but the creative scene in Atlanta, we need capital. Like, we need money. And so in other cities, it's really invested in. And I think that in order for us to really get away from music, we need that light shine on, you know, our photographers, our painters, our street artists. And we need to find a way to boost them up and shine that light on them.
Awesome.
Yeah, capital is a big deal for me too, because I was talking to one of my friends, like it's crazy how they would have put like, the government put $3 billion into a new stadium, but we can't get at least like $2 million for some kind of arts funding. And that's like backwards to me. They need to realize that art can have a positive impact on the city and Atlanta as a whole too. I think we got to figure out how to make the government see that art can have not just financial benefit, but a benefit from every kind of aspect.
Word.
Anyone else? What do you guys think, Atlanta, like, what are the major challenges you think in the city?
Good.
Oh, no, I was going to say the fact that we have to go everywhere else for the publications and go everywhere else to get the funding. And I think that's probably the biggest problem, which they all said in the last question, but I think that is the biggest problem. The fact that we got to travel so far and, you know, make those moves that we want to do.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I know for me, and I was kind of talking about this before. So with my startup, I've been asked to move to New York and San Fran about 3 times, right? Of like, you can do this here. It's a lot easier. You can raise money. You can't raise money in Atlanta. So it kind of sucks that I have in the back of my head, like, okay, eventually I'm gonna have to get on a plane, right? And do this here. So that sucks. But then I would say just within Atlanta, there are still a lot of silos, right? I have this crew over here that's doing really cool stuff. I have on the west side, and then on the east side, I have another crew that's doing really cool stuff. The beautiful thing about Atlanta is like once people find out about each other, they're down to work together. But it's just got to be a way where we break down these silos and we give people access to each other so that we can just keep creating and keep innovating.
Like, was it hard to get into what you guys are doing now? Like, Diwang, was it hard for you, I guess, to like break in to the scene and start like shooting music videos? If you guys don't know, like Diwang shoots like all of the videos that you guys see online. Diwang is probably responsible for at least 50% of them. So was it hard for you to like, you know, break in and sort of make your mark on that industry?
Well, initially when I started, I was a designer. So, and then I got into photography. But when I was shooting initially, this is like 2005, 2006. Like there weren't that many people doing. I mean, there weren't that many. Everybody didn't have a camera. Everybody wasn't shooting. So it was really easy because there wasn't anybody else really doing it at the time. I mean, like I'd see like one or two like Freddie O's and like ATL Pics and those dudes, like they would be around the scene. But like as far as like publications, like I was working at a publication. That's really how I got in, and yeah, nobody was really doing that. So it was fairly easy at that time. But now I couldn't imagine. Like if I started now, what the same thing I was doing then, it's like I would just be lost with like tons of photographers. So I think I was just lucky to start when I started.
Yeah. So, can everybody explain what they do?
Yeah, just really quick.
Like,
so
really quick.
Yeah, for more like background on this question, I guess before you answer, just kind of explain what you do on a day-to-day, kind of who you work with and like names and stuff like that, so people can get it.
I produce, write, and then also an artist. But I got my start with Rocco, Future, and Rick Ross. I produced a track called You Don't Even Know. From there, work with Jeezy, J. Cole, SZA, Isaiah Rashad, and a couple other different people. But for me, it didn't feel hard, but it took a lot of patience, I would say, for a producer. It just takes so much time, and getting paid in music is not, I don't know, it's just not as glorious as they make it seem. Even when you have a hit on a radio, it doesn't mean you have $1 million. So it's just a slow process. You got to figure out if this is like really what you want to do. But I don't think it's hard. It did take me 3 years, like after I moved here, to actually get a record. So like I said, it's just all about that. I guess that persistence of really wanting it.
Yeah.
For me, do you want to go?
No, you can go.
You sure?
Yeah.
Well, for me, I work in brand development and like event production for myself, and I also work with Love Renaissance. They manage Rory Black, doing pretty well for the past couple years. It wasn't really hard for me to really break into the industry just because I've been doing like events, even if they were like low key things at a house, since I was probably like 17. And it's kind of something that it just stuck with me and grew with me. And people saw like how organized I was with events and started applying that same idea to like photo shoots, video shoots, stuff like that. So that's how the production stuff came in. I went to Georgia State for PR, marketing, and hospitality. So that's where I got my like writing experience to do like brand communications and brand strategy and stuff like that too. But it wasn't really hard. It's just really building relationships and maintaining relationships is the most important thing to me, because the people I work with now, I've been working with for like, I would say 7 or 8 years, even to like Bosco. Me and Bosco working together for like 6 years. So it's one of those things where it's just building relationships and just maintaining them. It's kind of worked in my favor and made it less difficult.
Nice.
Sweet. I started in production. I produced for brands like Pennzoil and Jiffy Lube, which was not fun. And then I got this opportunity to produce a small docuseries for the U.S. Marine Corps. And that kind of like propelled me into what I do now. Started working for Sprite, that I
Shout out Sprite.
started directed a program called Sprite Pour, which was all about using millennial creators to document other emerging artists. That was like my baby for 3 years. From that, started working on brand Coke, vitamin water, Coke Life, across the board. But in working at Coke, and being able to work with emerging artists and millennial creators, I got to see that it was tons of really, really talented kids that didn't go to college, that dropped out of school, but they were hustling and they were making a way and they were being really talented. So I wanted to create technology to help creators, creative teams, and creative companies build a community of people that are like themselves around the work that they do. So it's work focused, and then give them a whole backend of tools to connect and collaborate with each other and produce ideas, right? And so that's my startup, which is Partner, PARTNR. And we are now piloting with about 6 companies here in Atlanta, and about to roll it out live to creators publicly. It's been really interesting. It was really hard to get into the tech world for me because I'm not a developer. I had designed and wireframed all of the technology myself, but I didn't know how to implement it and do it. So that was hard. And then it was really expensive. So I had to go and raise money. And I couldn't do it here in Atlanta. So I went on a trip, packed my bags, went and raised a family and friends around. So that was hard, but I learned a ton of stuff. So I'm always willing to turn back around and tell people how to do their own tech startup, especially if you're not a developer or a techie.
Nice.
Yeah, so I started out as a graphic designer at this magazine called Juice, and then which got me into photography, which is what I'm doing now. Mostly a lot of the rappers here that I was covering in the magazine that I initially worked for. Just built relationships and just started shooting a lot of the locals here. And then I met Sebastian and David, who were in video around 2007, and I joined them as a director doing music videos with Motion Family. So I've been doing that with them, and yeah, so it's just basically a lot of photos, a lot of video for the last however many years, 10 years.
Word. So cool. We had while we're still kind of on the subject, we had a interesting question come through. I'm gonna kind of flip it a little bit. So a lot of people call like Atlanta sort of like the Black Mecca in terms of like this is a good place to be. In my opinion, I think it's a good place to be Black, for lack of a better word. Like, you know, a lot of our police force is Black. You know, our mayor's Black. You know, but you know, I think there's a lot of opportunity here. And I just wanted to get y'all's opinion on like, is that sort of like I guess, I don't know, like a thing that sets Atlanta apart? Is sort of like embracing of just multiculturalism in general?
Yes. I mean, I have family members that are from Minnesota originally, and they come down here and they're just like, wow, like I've never seen this before. This is like so different for them, you know what I'm saying? And not even just on the standpoint of just seeing Black people, but from the music to the food to just everything. And then now you're throwing movies in there, like it's becoming like, they call it the Black Hollywood, you know what I'm saying? And all those types of things. I think it's good for it, you know? I think it is. That's what it is.
I think for me, Atlanta is like the perfect example of diversity. So at Coke, I do multicultural strategy. And I always say like, diversity isn't just putting a whole bunch of different people from a bunch of different races at the table. It's actually like passing the mic and letting people speak and listen and appreciating people for who they are and what their culture is. And Atlanta does that. Like, you know, from our local government on down, you can't get that multicultural experience that you get here in another city.
Yo, guys, can I ask a quick question while we're on this sort of topic? My name's Alex Malin. Eugene and I started MAEKAN. Quick bit of background so you know where the question's coming from. I'm from Atlanta originally. I haven't lived there in about 5.5 years. But basically my whole my whole early life and early work life was started in Atlanta. It's funny because now I've had the opportunity to travel around to different places. And when I meet people, they're really shocked when I tell them that I'm from Atlanta. And 9 times out of 10, the first question is like, oh shit, is there Asian people in Atlanta? And it's funny because I don't really know how to ask it, but I guess my question is this. So when I was working 5 or 6 years ago in Atlanta, I had a certain picture of quote unquote diversity within the creative field in the city. How does it look now in 2017? Is it similar to 5 years ago? Is it more diverse? What's your take on that?
I think it's more diverse. When I first got here, people were calling it the Black Mecca, right? It was 80% Black people and then sprinkled in the rest. And then now it's if you look at different crews around the city, it's people from all races. It's more widespread, I would say, now than it was 5 years ago. I don't know how everybody else feels in terms of the music industry or the arts industry. But I know for me, it's even at parties, it's before it was just majority Black people, but now it's a melting pot.
I feel like I have a foot in the older, I hang out with older people too, and then I hang out with our generation or whatever, and the older people is Black. It's
it's Black as hell.
It's Black. they're doing Black events, they're doing Black things, they're doing all white parties. You know what I'm saying? It's that. But when I come back on our side, it's multicultural. It's a lot of different. Yeah, all that.
All of that.
Shout out to my real Asians.
Sorry, last question, then I'm going to hand it back over to Gavin, but I just kind of want to riff on this a little bit. So how do you think that the creative output has changed? Because the one thing too, to piggyback on my last question, when you do go to other cities, 9 times out of 10, the only thing people can reference is basically 5 years ago, it was they referenced Young Jeezy and Magic City. And now it's still Magic City and maybe 21 Savage. But that's just because music has been the main vehicle of cultural export for the city of Atlanta, right? So how do you think that the city can start to sort of diversify the culture that it does export so that people start to have a different perception of Atlanta, for better or for worse?
Well, I think part of Atlanta's problem is, in other cities, they really, really like recognition, right? In Atlanta, it's more of we do cool stuff and we love each other, and that's good enough, right? And I think we have to start to care, other than the music industry. We have to start to care about getting the recognition that we deserve. If you're a badass cinematographer, start fighting for yourself to get out there and get that name. And we have to fight for each other. I think it's really easy to get complacent in Atlanta because it is nice to live here. The cost of living is lower. Everybody likes each other for the most part. But I think that the tides are slowly changing on that end. And I think that we just have to, as a people, start to care about getting that recognition. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, in a nutshell.
I agree.
Cool. Got it. Gavin, take it away.
Yeah. So Cody Horn asked, Cody, shout out Cody. He brought up a really good question though. So I think another part of Atlanta is like the big corporations that are here. That's another thing that people don't know. There's a lot of big corporations from Coca-Cola to Home Depot, CNN, stuff like that. So like with all of those major corporations, do you think that they do enough to help the creatives within the city?
I don't.
I don't either.
You know what I'm saying? No offense to Kith or anything, but you know, like I see Kith doing that thing with Coca-Cola. It's just like,
yeah,
it's like, why would you do something with a brand from New York when you can do something from Atlanta? You can support another Atlanta brand.
Yeah,
right.
You know, I feel like I feel like it's 50-50. I feel like us as creatives can do a better job of reaching out to these brands too.
Mm-hmm. True. Diwang?
I also think, and I don't know how much I can say because I'm on the inside. I'm really trying to edit myself. I also think that the people that are still making the decisions at Coca-Cola are very out of touch with the new school, right? Rap isn't just trap and music anymore, right? From Atlanta, right? Hip hop is more than, no offense, like I love Nas, but hip hop is more than lyrical 90s Nas, right? So I think we have some other ways that we can attack and try and get these brands to recognize the scene here. But I think that the people that are making the decisions at the end of the day have a very staunch idea of what they want to sponsor.
I guess from the street level too, Diwang, you work with a lot of corporate stuff too, like corporate companies.
Yeah.
Do you think they're missing out on
Yeah, I know. I definitely, like Trévon said, I think we need to do better at reaching out to these companies that are here. Because because they're so close, I guess it's just not something that we think about all the time. But we've gotten hired, Motion Family's gotten hired from places like New York and LA regularly because of what we do here in Atlanta. So it would be great to actually just shoot here in Atlanta for the companies that are here already, like Coke and Delta.
Oh yeah, Delta's not.
I think that goes to the creators actually knowing that type of stuff is possible, doing collaborations with the big companies possible. Because me coming in as a young producer, just trying to do whatever I can to get on, it's you're not thinking about stuff like that. You don't think it's possible. And I think, us as people who are doing stuff, we have to educate the ones coming up under us and, do more social events or whatever on the business of everything, whatever it is that you do, learning the business of it. For the creators, and not just giving business advice to somebody who already is interested in business. The creatives need to know the business.
Yeah. Cool. Amir, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. It might be Amir. Is it Amir? Okay. Yeah. Amir asks, so kind of going back to what Alex was talking about, how Atlanta exports so much culture, but sometimes Atlanta doesn't get the credit. I definitely see that happen a lot. So do you think as creatives in Atlanta that there's kind of a chip on our shoulders? Because we want to change that perception. We want to know, we want people to know what we made.
I know for me, yes, there is. I tell my team every day, I'm we're going to build this startup. We're going to build a Silicon Valley quality startup here in Atlanta. And we're going to do it in Atlanta, and we're not going to move it out of Atlanta. And we're going to show people that it can be done in Atlanta. And that's just the chip that I hold on my shoulder because I love the city and I love the people here. And I think other people should have that chip too. Because that's the only way to put our name on the board. But yeah.
Yeah, just getting people to understand, if we make the city look better, we in effect look better too. So it's a bigger picture than just like, what we got going on. Like we gotta, again, help each other out and really figure it out and see it as it's a bigger picture.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's see. Anybody else?
I agree too. Like everybody that I just got back from New York and I had some meetings just at other agencies and just and everything that they're doing in New York, like we can do here for sure. Like there's so many talented people, and, like so many dope designers, so many dope photographers. People should be coming to us, from other cities to just instead of like the New Yorks and LAs.
Yeah, I agree. I think we can definitely do what they do it better, and do it for the same price. People in Atlanta have a bad habit of lowballing and underpricing themselves, which in effect affects everybody else. I don't think people in Atlanta really understand their value, like how much value they hold in the creative scene, or just in the world. Like we should really show each other how much value we really have. I mean, we can compete and win over any other agencies or people in these other cities.
Yeah.
Maybe to switch this over, kind of on that same topic, Sophie in the chat window actually mentioned this, the idea of tax benefits being an advantage in a city like Atlanta. You guys who are kind of running your own businesses, if you're in other countries, if you're in other cities, taxes are super high. Can you guys talk about the business advantages or disadvantages of operating in the Southeast?
It's amazing. Literally, you can't, the way you run a business here is just so, and I haven't run a business in another city, but our lawyer runs startups in New York. And so he's always giving me the side-by-side play-by-play. And it's like the tax breaks that I'm getting here, I can afford to keep my startup alive off of a very shoestring budget. Whereas if I was in New York or the Valley or LA, we would probably be dead already because we'd be out of money. So Atlanta is, like I said, the cost of living, it can't get any better. The cost of having a business, it can't get any better.
Diwang, how is it from the sort of cinematography side or from the video side? I mean, obviously places like LA are known for motion, but you guys are making moves in Atlanta.
Yeah, no, there's huge tax savings for film in Georgia. So that's been great. I mean, we've only now been taking advantage of it just since we. But it's only if you shoot here. But I love working here in Atlanta. But we've been getting hired at a lot of different places, which is nice. But it'd be dope to just take advantage of the big budgets that they have here instead of shooting in LA with a big budget.
Do you think that the talent pool is the same in Atlanta versus the other coastal cities?
The talent pool?
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
The talent pool, your access, let's say for you, Amanda, in terms of if you're hiring engineers or if you're hiring designers, things like that, or on the cinematography side, if you're looking for just people to work your production, is it easier, same, harder?
For us, I think we've been working with a lot of the same crew, and then so it's about the same. For us to work, I think the difference between working here in LA is it's more expensive to shoot in LA, and the crews are more expensive. But I don't know. I think here in Atlanta, there's plenty of DPs. There's a lot of film industry people here, so we're just I'd say it's pretty much the same for us for what we do.
I'd say for the engineers, no, it's very hard here in Atlanta. It's just hard. And then I would say for designers and content creators and content producers, no, I have seen probably better talent here than I've seen anywhere else. And like I said, I bundle how easy it is to work with somebody into talent. And so you have really, really skilled creatives here, and they're just the best to work with.
Word. Really quick, based off that, so what do you, in terms of tech and just, I guess, whether it be like photo, video, or music, I guess, how can we start to build up those other, I guess maybe even interests in younger kids about how to get into tech and to get into, whether it be like financial or whatever. I guess one question is like, how do we affect that? And then two, do you see any people, making a push for that here in the city?
Yeah, there's a group called Reimagine ATL.
I was trying to think of that shit or something.
Yeah, they run a nonprofit, and it's all about film. So they bring in like people from Google, animators from Turner, to go into these high schools and these middle schools, and teach people how to use a camera, teach people how to animate. The founder of Reimagine's winning all type of awards. They just came out with a content series called No Comment. It's all about social good and social activism. So No Comment and Currents. They're a great organization. If anybody else has any ideas, I'm always asking this question of how do we expose the Atlanta youth to?
I think they're going to go into this direction soon, but I like what Choose ATL. They're really trying to convince people to move here, like really millennials in the interest of tech and the creative scene, trying to improve it. I think Choose ATL is a good one to mention too.
No, I agree with Amanda. Yeah, the Reimagine ATL is dope. Susanna is helping a lot of kids. Me and David from Motion Valley also got to talk to a lot of kids that were working on that new series that they just put out. So yeah, I second that. Reimagine.
Yeah, I've done some work with Reimagine as well. They work with a lot of schools that may not be in the best area, and have like a reputation, may be like bad reputation for some of their kids, and they make some really cool stuff. Whether it be
do they only do film?
No, they make music as well. Childish, so if you're down, they would love.
I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah. They come and they have people come and sit down with them and talk about themselves. They made like a song, for Reimagine, and I was gonna help them shoot the music video, but they ended up creating the No Comment thing, and then they do a lot of stuff with the No Comment thing now. But yeah, it's a great organization for sure. And also Trévon seconding Choose ATL. Kate Atwood does a great job with Choose ATL. Really trying to a lot of what we're talking about here in this talk. It's like, why would we choose ATL over these other places? Whether it be San Francisco, LA, or whatever. So Choose ATL is definitely a great resource for people in Atlanta or people outside of Atlanta, looking to come, for sure. Cool. Amanda, you're getting a lot of questions in here. One question somebody had was, and you can go as in depth as you want. It was talking about sort of being in a city that these are not my words; these are her words, I assume. Objectifies women in terms of strip clubs and some of the rap music and stuff like that. I guess what are your thoughts on that? And do you see what do you see as the opportunity also for women in the field?
I think that there's more opportunity for women. If there was something that I could change about Atlanta, it would be elevating the women here that are really doing some cool stuff, like Bosco, Paula Cuevas, Bay ATL. I personally, I don't know what to say about the strip clubs and all of that, because I think that's just part of Atlanta's culture and that's everywhere. But I do think that there are a lot of amazing women here. There are a lot of women meetups. So if you want to hit me up after, I can let you know what those are, but a lot, and they're getting bigger and bigger. So that's been really, really awesome. I've met illustrators, photographers, the whole nine. They're great.
Cool. Anybody else have thoughts on that?
I think a lot of women go to the strip clubs as well. Like, I don't know. For me, it's like when you're outside of town, it's like that's the question that comes up. It's just like that's just the thing. I mean, hip hop in general is kind of like bad with the objectifying women, but yeah, I think everybody just like wants to go to the strip club once they get to Atlanta. It's like a thing, and even if you don't go, you like they want the food, or it's just like she said, it's a part of the culture.
You see Alex laughing, right?
They want chicken wings. Those chicken wings are good.
You're right.
Good.
Cool. So one question I definitely wanted to get this across during the chat. We talked a lot about not necessarily problems, but maybe just challenges and gaps in the creative scene here in Atlanta. So question for our panelists, I guess, what are you guys doing personally to ensure, that we find solutions to some of these challenges?
Whenever I go to New York, I make sure I stop by at least like 3 or 4 magazines and tell them what's going on from my perspective, from the good, the bad, and the ugly, but just kind of, again, rewriting the narrative from my point of view and giving them a credible source about what's going on in the city. Like going to where we want to see ourselves. Always hear artists, somebody want to be in Complex and Fader and Paper and all that kind of stuff. So I'll go up there and tell them what's going on in the city.
Yeah, I agree with the outside relationships that I have as far as like people that are up top in the other cities, whether that be in the labels or the publications. They always asking questions, or it might just be a personal text or something like what's going on. Mm-hmm. And, if it's just being a credible source and just trying to give that perspective of what's really going on and not what the hype is.
Yeah, we've been trying to like just like anytime like photo editors holler from publications in New York or video commissioners holler at us from LA, like we try to put on as many like Atlanta people as possible. Like if I can't do a shoot, like I'm trying to pass it on to another person that's from here and that works here, and then there's just so much talent that's here, and then we're just, it's just like, just spreading the
For me, I'm really, really, really involved with Center for Civic Innovation, trying to get a tap on the capital, the government capital funding, getting them to fund it into the arts here. And then also just with my startup, it's a creative-based startup. It's for creators. I'm a creator activist, I believe. It's about enabling and empowering creators to connect with each other and really own their craft and own their business. So like I said, we're rolling live publicly in the next couple weeks, but I already have like a list of people who can we showcase? Who's the talent here in Atlanta? Also encouraging my team to just get out of our 4 walls and go talk to people and see what they need, see what the needs are at the ground level. And then how can we help from a startup perspective, even if that's just us coming in and showcasing what you're doing and your team. Anything that we can do, we will do. But we're really trying to lift the scene up here in Atlanta first, and then the creative scene as a whole.
Cool. Really quick, I'm gonna put up Amanda's site really quick. This is Partner, guys. I know a few people had questions also about how can different sort of creatives in Atlanta sort of meet up, get to know each other, make connections. This is definitely a great place to start, guys. I work at an agency myself. Me and Amanda actually work together a bit on some of the Coca-Cola brands. So, I mean, this is great from an agency standpoint as well. So, Partner, check it out.
Looks really good.
Thank you.
So
cool. So We have time for a couple more questions. So I'll try to get a couple of quick ones really quick. And so I'm going to point this one at Trévon and then Mikey as well. So do you guys see the fashion scene expanding in Atlanta? And is there a specific trend that sets Atlanta apart fashion-wise from other places? So I'm gonna throw it to Trévon first, but then Mikey, I definitely want you to jump in.
I don't know. I'm not even gonna lie. Like for the past year, I've been uninspired by Atlanta's fashion scene. Like when I first was like really into it, I see more originality and like just more willing to take risks. But now people just kind of we like brands or like just kind of like seeing what's hot already instead of making a new hot thing. I don't see anyone coming out with anything super original anymore. And I don't know if it's because where I'm looking, but like I just don't really see it. And it's kind of disheartening a little bit.
Yeah, I think we're a little behind on fashion.
Yeah.
But I see some like dope designers come out of SCAD, like that's killing it. And like a lot of like I support like local cool little restaurants and like, you know, like brands that represent Atlanta. Like I support those kind of things, but I think we're definitely like a little behind on fashion. But yeah, I think it's growing though, like for sure. Like you know, us having more boutiques in the city, like Manier, Wish, Walters, Social Status is opening up like more of those places, and like more businesses are open for fashion. I think we're like starting to grow for sure.
Anybody else? What do you think, Alex?
Sorry, can you remind me the question?
It's just about sort of fashion.
I don't know. I always go back and forth because, like, I think that there's Atlanta still. I don't know if it still is like this, but back when I was living in Atlanta, it still had a lot of like kind of defined pockets, right? Like you had like the sort of like Stevis people like into hardcore, like Valdosta hardcore or whatever, that scene, and then you had like the guys who would shop at Wish back in the day and they'd want like a matching teal Mishka t-shirt with like matching teal, you know, shorts and matching teal Nike shoes. And they brought it in like a Louis bag and they paid in all cash, you know? And then there's like the complete other side of Atlanta that's like the Emory campus of like nerdy Asian kids or like, you know, like white guys wearing Sperry's and pleated khaki pants. So I still feel like that fashion like picture is still kind of a little bit indicative of like Atlanta in a lot of different facets. There's still those silos like you guys were mentioning earlier. And in some cities, the lines are blurring a little bit more, you know, like you're starting to see one guy dressed like another guy and you don't really know what subculture he's a part of by virtue of like what he's wearing in his back, right? Where I do feel like when I do go back to Atlanta, and see like family and stuff and see friends, see you guys, I can still kind of see the pockets, you know, more so than in other cities, just from a apparel and footwear perspective. I don't know if is that right? Does anyone disagree with that?
I agree.
I agree too.
No, that's right.
Quick question. This is kind of random, but what role do you guys think gentrification plays in Atlanta? Whether it be good or bad, I guess.
I think the good is maybe it could bring a little bit more money. I think the bad is it's kind of like when you're growing a business too, right? You start to make more money, you start to lose a little bit of your culture, right? And you become more corporate and you become like a little watered down. It's the same with gentrification. You may see an influx of money into the city, but you could start to see like the small restaurants, the, you know, cultural places like the Masquerade, go away. Yeah, that's what I think.
Cody has a good one too. Out of topic, he said, "Who are some of your favorite Atlanta-based artists?"
Yeah, we can open that up to be artists or just creatives in general too.
Yeah.
Who are some of you guys' favorite like creatives or artists coming out of Atlanta?
I really like, Frico. He's been doing it for a minute, but he's a super talented illustrator and writer and just artist in general. I think he's like been grinding for a minute. And Mark Edrick. How do you say his name?
Yeah, Kedrick, absolutely.
Shout out Kedrick.
Yeah, he's so dope. And I really like Gerald Lovell. Is that his name? He's kind of like the Yvonne Chile of Atlanta. Just a really dope sound. But yeah, those are my current fine artists favorites. Visual artists.
Marquise, Black. I guess it's not about hip hop though. Yeah, Marquise super dope. Mikey.
Yeah,
My friend, photographer.
Right.
Okay, cool.
I mean, of course, I'm gonna say Rory Black and Bosco, obviously, and then I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Young Never Sleep, Brandon Collins. I thought he was really, really, really dope.
Who is it?
Brandon Collins. He had a brand called the Young Never Sleep. He actually relocated to California, but he was Atlanta-based and he killed it. And Paula's so fucking dope. Paula has amazing illustrations. She's just really good at what she does, some art direction and everything. Love Frico. McKedrick's amazing. Yeah, Madig from SCAD, amazing designer, definitely underrated. Want to see her get more attention too. Yeah, Never. So Omar and John, like as far as production, they always impress me.
Earth Gang and Jid.
Oh yeah.
Earth Gang from here?
Yep, Earth Gang and Jid, Spillville crew.
Definitely. Yeah, I think personally, I would say Marquise for sure. Mikey, just a lot of my friends. I just really like a lot of the stuff that my friends make. Also, there's a few street. I'm really into street art, and somebody had a question about graffiti or street art as well. And I don't think it's dying. I think there's actually a lot of initiatives. And I want to call out one. It's called Forward Warrior, and basically it's a annual sort of like a public art event, and basically like 30 of Atlanta's like best artists that come together and they basically paint one like big wall, like two city blocks long wall. It's started by a guy named Peter Ferrari. He's a great guy in the city in terms of like social activism and just being passionate about art. Yeah, I mean, and it's cool because I think that's one of the things that sets Atlanta apart is the community. So it's a great community event for artists and for people to just come out and watch too. So Peter Ferrari and Forward Warrior Project are definitely a couple other creatives to check out too.
Oh, I also forgot Dr. Dax.
Oh, Dax. Oh my God. And Dr. Dax and Chrissy Bramage too. Like shout out to Chrissy. She's really good. And Dr. Dax for sure.
Yeah, Dax has just been.
What we do is maybe.
I like what Fani's doing too. Shout out to Fani. I really fuck with what Fani's doing.
Shout out to Carl too. Carl Injex. Man.
Yeah, Carl Injex. Sound table.
Yeah. Put it on for a minute.
Nice. Cool. Well, I mean, I think don't have that much time left. Does anybody have anything else they kind of want to say?
Yeah.
Stuck on
I love Atlanta.
Yeah. Atlanta.
Go see Booty Mat tonight over there for Thundercat.
Oh yeah.
Man, I'm so mad. Nobody has a ticket. They want to sell?
I'm gonna watch it on Instagram.
Hey, I have a last question, just for my own curiosity, and maybe some of the other people that are gonna visit Atlanta. Like, what are the spots to go to? Like, what are some restaurants? What are some nightlife spots to go to? I don't even know what's what's there anymore.
Little Trouble.
Little Trouble is cool.
Little Trouble is just a cool vibe.
I know.
What is that, a bar?
They don't give you enough food.
Yeah, okay, but just imagine the movie Drive but a bar.
Is this a play on Little Trouble?
Little Trouble.
Because what we want to do is we want to send we'll send a recap after this and we'll list all those artists you guys just said, and I think it'd be cool to also like list some spots that people should check out if they go.
Original Jamaican on Edgewood.
Yep,
That's pretty good.
Sushi Burry on the east side.
Just go to Buford Highway and you find all the Asian spots. You can hit all the spots. Just go to Buford Highway.
La Petite Marche is a black-owned bakery / food spot. It's the best brunch in Atlanta.
Fire.
Damn.
Folk art.
Folk art. That's folk art. Yes.
Happy karaoke on Buford.
That folk art, shrimp and grits.
Yeah.
Victory Sandwich Bar. Yes.
Mike, Pat said La Casonia or La Casona.
La Casona, that Colombian. Get that real Colombian food. Get that good Colombian food in you. Yep.
Britt, know what's up.
Atlanta is missing a really dope Filipino restaurant, by the way.
You gotta start it, Diwang.
So yeah.
You should start it, man. You could brand it and do all the content.
Right.
Hey.
You
heard it here.
You heard it here first.
Let's see. Somebody said tortas locas. Ate sushi for sure.
Hey.
Eats on pods. Let's see what else.
Britt Bankroll.
Apache. Oh, R.I.P. Bankroll. Yes, before we sign off.
Yes.
Yes.
All
right.
That's it. Thanks everybody for joining. This was awesome. I think we got like a lot of stuff answered and out of the way. Please, everybody, follow all of our panelists. They're great and they're making Atlanta like the place to be for sure. Check out MAEKAN.com. Beyond having this stuff, they have a bunch of great articles. It's the best storytelling platform on the internet, I believe. I have a few things on there as well, but check it out. These guys do a great job. And you guys can sign up for like a month free trial. It is a membership based, but you can get a free trial for a month. Yeah. Anything else, guys?
I think we're good.
Cool. All right. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. Take care. Peace.
Peace, peace.